episode 423. We'll be talking about tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite, featuring an AEW World Title Eliminator match, more matches for Saturday Collision and Forbidden Door announced, and much more. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Welcome, Wrestling Fanatics. Lance Brock here, as always, for another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And tonight, it's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. Gonna be talking about an all-new episode of AEW Dynamite tonight. Is pretty big show tonight, and not just that, but a big month in general in June for AEW. And first of all, I mentioned this on Good Morning Wrestling Fans, but this morning was when the interview post-wrestling's John Pollock and WrestleNomics Brandon Thurston released their interview with Tony Khan, which is available to listen to now. I definitely recommend checking that out. Just my opinion, I feel that Tony Khan always does a good interview, and I know he's probably not listening to this, but just in case, if he ever does hear this, I would love to have Tony Khan come on 360 Wrestling Fanatic sometime, but unfortunately that'll probably never happen. And now let's get into tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. And tonight's Dynamite was live from Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena, which was the site of the very first episode of AEW Dynamite in October 2019. And our commentators tonight, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Taz. And we kick off this week's Dynamite. I was kind of surprised by this one, that this was the first match of the night. It is the AEW World Title Eliminator match. Adam Cole, baby, taking on the AEW World Champion MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And like I said, I even mentioned this too also on GMWF this morning, that I thought this was going to be the main event. I expected it to close the show tonight, but instead we get it on very first match of the night. And I just want to say, fantastic match, I thought. And MJF hitting the elbow drop through the timekeeper's table, and at one point MJF brings a chair into the ring, does the vintage Eddie Guerrero lie, cheat, and steal spot where the referee is down, and he threw it to Adam Cole. So where the referee gets up, he sees Adam Cole with a chair, thinks he hit MJF with it, and DQs him. But when the referee starts to get back up, he falls back down again. Or it's not chair. My mistake. It's the world title. Sorry about that. I don't know how I messed that up, but it was the AEW world title. But referee starts to get back up. He goes back down. Cole hits Max with the title. But it is only enough for a 2 count as MJF gets the shoulder up at the 2 count. And Adam Cole hits the Panama Sunrise, and the Boom goes for the cover, gets the 2, and just before the 3, the bell rings. And at first, I didn't know what was going on. I was kind of a little confused. I thought maybe they were doing some kind of screw job finish, maybe kind of like the Montreal screw job, or somebody came out during the match to help MJF and ring the bell. But this match, I didn't think it was as long as it was, and it turns out the reason for the bell was the 30-minute time limit. And like I said, this match was so good, I didn't even think it was 30 minutes. It just went by so quick, didn't drag at all. Really good match. After the match, Adam Cole gets on the mic, says to MJF, 5 more minutes. But MJF denies it. The classic heel move there in this situation. Walks out, still AEW World Champion. Again, very good match. And I'm sure this is not the end just yet anyway of the feud between MJF and Adam Cole. I'm sure sometime in the future we will definitely see MJF and Adam Cole for the AEW World title. We do know who MJF's next challenger will be at Forbidden Door next weekend. I'll get to that in a little bit though. But like I said, sometime down the road, I'm sure we will probably see Adam Cole and MJF for the Impact or AEW World Championship. I have no idea why I said Impact there. And next up, the remarkable Renee Young is in the ring with Sammy Guevara. And he talks about Ty Mello having a baby. And then we see Darby Allin. And first though, back up a little bit. Sammy mentioned something about making changes. And then Darby comes out. And he pretty much asks Sammy about the Jericho Appreciation Society. He talks about how him and Sting are equals. It's not the Sting Appreciation Society. And it kind of sounds like Darby's trying to convince Sammy to leave the JAS. And then at this time we hear Judas as Chris Jericho comes out. And he says him and Sammy are going to take out Darby Allin. And then Darby says he is not alone. And then we see the icon Sting with his bat, and Jericho in the ring also has Floyd the bat, and they have a bit of a stare down here with the bats. I thought this was pretty good. Jericho points his bat at Sting, and then Sting points his at him, and Jericho uses his bat to hit Sting as he's leaving the ring, and then Sting hits Floyd with his bat. And this leads to our 8-man tag team match. Sting, Darby Allin, Keith Lee, and the AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy taking on the Mogul Embassy. And pretty good match here. I thought this one was quite entertaining, in my opinion anyway. Definitely not a bad match at all. And then the finish sees Sting pin Brian Cage to score the win for his team. Again, I enjoyed this match actually. And next up, the AEW TNT Championship is on the line. Wardlow taking on Jake Hager. And Wardlow defeats Hager, getting the win. But during the match, there was some interference, and Arn Anderson and his son Brock take care of that for Wardlow. And after the match, we see on the screen Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, and Christian Cage accepts the challenge from Wardlow to face Luchasaurus for the AEW TNT Championship, and Christian says that match will take place this Saturday night on the first episode of Collision, and he says Wardlow's daddy won't be there. And then we see in the background Arn Anderson busted open on a set of stairs and attacking. Last week they attacked Brock Anderson. This week they attacked Arn. So this Saturday night on the debut episode of Collision, Wardlow versus Luchasaurus for the TNT Championship. Sure, that'll be a good match to see. And the AEW Women's Championship is on the line. Toni Storm taking on Sky Blue, which I thought was a pretty good match here. Sky Blue looking impressive. And it is Toni Storm retaining the AEW Women's Championship, defeating Sky Blue, but still pretty good match from Sky Blue though. And then the Outcasts, well, two of them anyway, Tony and Ruby Soho, attack Sky Blue after the match, and then the NJPW Strong Women's Champion Willow Nightingale is in to make the save. And our main event of Dynamite this week, trios match, the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta, with the American Dragon Bryan Danielson on commentary, taking on the team of the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and Hangman Adam Page. Good match between these two teams. And of course, once again, Bryan Danielson, great on commentary. And the finish of this match sees Hangman pin Wheeler Yuta to get the win for the Elite. And after this one, the BCC come in and attack the Elite. And then there is quite a bit that goes on here at this time. Konosuke Takeshita comes out, and Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. Everything breaks loose here at the end of Dynamite as we go off the air. And as I said at the top of the podcast, some more matches were announced. I mentioned the match that was announced for this Saturday night, the first episode of Collision, Wardlow and Luchasaurus for the AEW TNT Championship. But also at Forbidden Door, we had, or it might be next week on Dynamite, maybe, with the tag match and Zack Sabre Jr. and Daniel Garcia with Orange Cassidy, and then we find out Shibata will be there next week. We also find out that the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line as Jungle Boy Jack Perry will challenge Sonata, and the AEW World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line, or at least we think it will be anyway. MJF will be taking on the Ace of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi. But when Renee Paquette interviewed MJF in the match and told him about that, he said he wasn't going to do it. So I'm sure that's just a storyline. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Khan says something where if MJF does not do this match against Tanahashi at Forbidden Door, either he will be stripped of the title or he could be fired. I'm sure they could think of something to put in the storyline to make this match happen. But I'm sure we will end up seeing MJF versus Tanahashi at Forbidden Door a week from this Sunday on pay-per-view. And that was tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. Once again, I thought it was a very entertaining episode. And once again, in case you haven't heard the interview with John Pollock and Brandon Thurston, the interview they did with Tony Khan, definitely recommend checking that out. As we get ready for this Saturday night, the debut of AEW Saturday Collision on TNT. And I don't think I mentioned this on any of the podcasts just yet, but I've been thinking about, since this is the big first episode, got the return of CM Punk, got that trios match main event, I'm thinking about this Saturday night doing a live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic right after Collision. Not promising anything, but I am thinking about doing that as of right now. So stay tuned just in case. And that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Hope everyone had a great Wednesday. Hope everyone enjoyed AEW Dynamite. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or you just want to give your thoughts and opinions on tonight's episode of Dynamite, you can leave them in the comment section right here on Spreaker or whichever website, app, podcatcher you listen to 360 Wrestling Podcast on. Just leave them right there in the comment section. Also, if you have a business or a product or a service that you want to advertise right here on 360 Wrestling Podcast. You can just email me, 360wrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. And hope to have more new episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic coming at you right here real soon. But I will be back tomorrow morning for the Thursday morning episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Once again, thank you to everyone for listening tonight. And until tomorrow morning, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.